Hey everybody, this is Mark for the Gun Guide channel and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about everyday carry micro 9s, but for beginners. And is there a difference between a micro 9 for a beginner and a micro 9 for an expert? I think so. We're going to look at that right after this. So choosing a first concealed carry weapon for everyday carry isn't really just about picking a popular name or going for the smallest gun possible.
I feel like I'm gonna break this damn thing.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it. And for someone new to carrying, certain features make a huge difference in comfort, safety, and confidence. So here's a quick breakdown of some key factors that I kind of use to evaluate which guns are going to go on my top 5 list of best CCW micro 9 guns for beginners. And by the way, yeah, it was completely made up by me. So you might have different factors that you think are important when you're picking a micro 9 for a beginner, but I'm going to get into the ones I picked and tell you a little bit about why. Then we'll get into the actual list of the top 5 guns that I have, and we'll eliminate them until I tell you which I think is the best. Now, if you've been enjoying our content, checking it out, please give us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you find everything that I'm saying incredibly boring, we always bookmark stuff, so you can just hop ahead to the top 5 list and see if you like the 5 guns that I came up with or you disagree. And if you want, drop us a comment down below and happy to try and respond to it. But for right now, let's take a look at the factors that I chose that I think make a really good concealed carry or everyday carry for beginners in micro 9. And the first thing I'm going to start with is probably the most controversial because a lot of people will say the exact opposite. But in my opinion, and when I started carrying, I wanted a gun that had an external thumb safety. Not just a trigger safety or a drop safety, but an actual safety that would prevent the trigger from being pulled unless I wanted it to be pulled and a bullet to come out the gun. Now, for beginners, I think that the presence of this manual thumb safety just provides an extra layer of reassurance. It gives you a mechanical barrier against accidental discharges, especially when you're holstering or unholstering. So while experienced carriers, may prefer not having a safety, and they're going to say, my safety is right here or between my ears, yeah, that doesn't give me comfort because I think the safety is there to stop the gun from going bang when this safety or the safety between your ears isn't necessarily working.
Your choices. Who shot who? Somebody got shot?
And then just one real quick example, right? If something gets into the holster that you were not anticipating getting into the holster, let's say that you got into an altercation with someone and you had to pull the gun. Maybe you're tussling around on the ground, something got in, you don't check the holster, you put it back, you're being careful, you're keeping your safety off the trigger, but something's in there and it makes the gun go bang. That's a bad thing.
Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only.
So for those reasons, and because I think most people new to guns and new to carrying want that external safety, that's going to be mandatory on all the guns on our list. Again, please feel free to leave all the hate comments below. The second thing is concealability, because unless you're in an open carry state, you want a gun that you can easily conceal. A gun that's too big is just uncomfortable to carry. Now, for example, I love my Beretta 92. It is a great gun. It shoots beautifully. I would hate to have that tucked into my waistband all day long, right? So you're kind of balancing that. Micro compacts, you know, they're slim and they now have a pretty decent capacity. So you can carry them in the waistband or in a pocket holster, which is kind of something like this or this, right? And the reason is, and this will tie into, you know, one of the next things that we're going to be looking at, is you want something that's just comfortable, right? You want it to be comfortable to carry so that you actually carry it. That, you know, there's the old saying, the 22 that you have in your pocket is much better than the 44 Magnum you have in your desk drawer.
Ha! Little old handgun only holds 2 bullets.
Question is, which of the two of you are willing to take the bullets?
So we want a gun that you could carry in your pocket if you'd like, or that you can carry in waistband very comfortably. And so while certain guns say that they're compact, and that just means they're smaller than a full size, they're not going to be on our list either. So for example, HK has the P30SK, which is a compact gun, right? But it's just way too big for most people to carry in their pockets. Now, unfortunately, because of my size, and I have some very large pants, depending on the particular brand, this is embarrassing, but I can actually get that gun in a pocket every now and then.
You know, that hurts my feelings. I've tried going on a diet, you know. The zone, you know, carbs are the enemy, you know.
But we're not going to count that. Similarly, you know, the CZ P09C Nocturne, which is an awesome gun, and you can definitely carry it in waistband or out of waistband, but it's probably not fitting in most people's pockets, so that gun is not going to be on our list. But we will use that kind of as a reference for size down the road later in this video. So pretty much what we're looking for is something that can fit in waistband carry, or a pocket carry, or you can just throw into a cycling or a running vest or a fanny pack. Yes, I said fanny pack.
I'm not a potbelly, I wear a pouch.
So tied to number 2 is just the ease of carry. And again, these two are very similar, but you know, you're more likely to carry a gun that's easy to live with. And that means being light enough not to drag your belt down or to make you walk with a limp, right? So you want something that's not digging into your ribs and that you can carry discreetly. So for beginners, you know, you also need to experiment with different carry positions. I personally do not recommend appendix. If you'd like to try it, you're welcome to. I don't like pointing the gun at my lower intestines. And if in the event of, you know, a catastrophe, a discharge, an accidental discharge, that is a horrible, horrible place to get shot. So for that reason, I personally don't carry appendix. That my belly hangs over where my appendix would be. But you know, you're going to want to try carrying it in different positions on your hip, in your pocket, and a versatile compact Micro 9 allows you to really play with more positions than a larger gun. Now, number 4 is ergonomics and grip comfort. And why that matters, a gun's got to feel good in your hand. Poor ergonomics make a gun harder to control, particularly under stress, and a whole heck of a lot less fun to train with, right? So for new shooters, you know, the grip texture, the frame, the ability to reach the trigger, these all play a really big role in accuracy and recoil management. So a gun that fits your hands will feel more natural, and that's going to boost your confidence, let you practice more, and it will improve your ability to shoot faster. Number 5, ease of shooting, right? And this kind of also ties into 4. You know, the trigger, the recoil, and the sights. And why does that matter? So some of the smaller guns are really just tougher to shoot. They have stiffer triggers, poor sights, all of which discourage training. So a good beginner carry gun should have a manageable recoil impulse, a crisp and predictable trigger, and clear and easy to use sights, and maybe be optic ready if that's one of the things you want. Now that's not going to be a deal breaker for us, but optic ready is certainly important. So these qualities all make it easier for new shooters to build their skills and develop consistent accuracy, which is a key for defense. And now, number 6, I knew you were waiting for this one. Capacity. Why does that matter? You may only have a few seconds to respond in a defensive situation. And while the goal is to never get into a gunfight, having more rounds available gives you a chance to stop the threat without reloading. Now today, a lot of the micro 9s offer 10 to 15, even some 17 round capacity, which is a huge improvement over the traditional 6 or 7 round carry guns of the past, or revolvers, right? If you were only going to have a 6 round capacity, you could carry a revolver, which is a super reliable gun, which leads us to number 7, reliability. Why does that matter? Because a carry gun must run and operate when your life depends on it. So that's almost so easy, we don't have to talk about it anymore. If your carry gun does not go boom when you pull the trigger, that's a really, really bad thing. And if it does that regularly, not probably a gun you want to carry. So all the guns on our list are really, in my opinion, reliable, and they will work under harsh conditions or even when shot with lower grade ammunition. Number 8, and this is obviously a big one for everyone, is price and the overall value. So new shooters often have a limited budget, and you still need to buy a quality holster, defensive ammo, training classes, practice. So if you can buy a high quality gun that's inexpensive, you have more money left over for other things. So you really want a solid value when you're buying a gun. But again, you don't want to scrimp so much that you're suffering, or that the reliability of the gun will suffer. So you need to work a balancing act on that. So we've included some budget-friendly and premium options so that new carriers can find a trustworthy gun without over or underspending, for that matter. Now, some of these factors that aren't as important as those top 8, but we're just going to run through them super quick. So aftermarket support and accessories, ease of maintenance and cleaning, trigger safety, and other passive safeties are also important. Again, aftermarket, you want to know if you can find other magazines. You also want to consider warranty and customer service. And then last but not least is dry firing and home practice capability. So the goal is to carry a gun confidently, safely, and consistently. And every one of the guns that I picked for this list, I think covers that really well. So now I think it's time to take a look at our list. But we're going to start it a little bit weird because we're going to cover 2 very popular guns that you're not going to see on our list. And that's really due to the thumb safety issue. So the first one is the Glock 43X, which, by the way, I'm just not a fan of. Now, in my defense, I did go out and I bought a new Glock, and I'm going to give it a couple of hundred rounds to see if I have just been completely unfair to Glock. Now, the other gun that's not on here is the Taurus GX4, which is a great gun, but it has no safety, so it didn't make the list. And now, with no further ado or me talking, let's get to our actual list. So, what you see in front of you is almost all of the guns on the list. And what we are going to do is discuss the top 5. I am going to remove them one at a time until we get to the one that I would probably choose out of these 5. Now, this gun right over here is not a micro compact. This is actually the CZ-P09C, which stands for compact. All these guns, by the way, which is why they were like that, have been cleared and checked. So decided to do this and let everyone see just so it's easier. There we go. All right. So the CZ Nocturne is really there just as a size reference, right? So this gun is not fitting in most people's pockets. And as you can see, it's significantly bigger than the P365, and it's even bigger than the biggest gun on our list, which is the Taurus G3C. So again, just a reference for us. So there we go. We'll get this out of the way. And we are now left with these 4. But how do we have 4 guns when we're doing a top 5? Well, the reason we have 4 guns is because number 5 is the first one to go off the list, which meant I honestly just never wanted to buy the gun. So I have shot it, but I never bought it. And I actually like it, but I've never liked it enough to buy it. So I borrow it from my buddies and they do like it. And that is the Springfield Armory Hellcat 3-inch OSP with a manual safety. And again, it's not that it's a bad gun at all. It's actually a really nice micro compact. The manufacturer's suggested retail price on that is $633. You can find it online right now for somewhere around $510. The capacity, and this is one of the nice things about this specific gun, is it comes with 11+1 or 13+1. And all the other guns, I believe, their threshold is 10+1, not 11. So you get an extra bullet. Now, is an extra bullet important? It is if you've wasted 10 shots and you need one more.
These go to 11.
The barrel length is 3 inches. The overall length is 6 inches. It has a width of 1 inch. The height is 4 inches or 4.5 inches, depending on which magazine you put in it. The weight is 17.9 ounces, and it comes with an external safety. Now, it did not originally, which is why it's on our list. And some of the pros of this gun are, it does have that 1 extra bullet. It has an excellent U-dot factory sights, which I really like. It's now optic ready. The cons are the grip texture is really very aggressive, so that might bother some people who have more sensitive skin types. The thumb safety on it is small and stiff, so that makes it a little tough. And the biggest con, and this is what you will hear from everyone who doesn't work for Springfield, is that it is an incredibly snappy gun due to its size. However, aftermarket, there are lots of things you can get. Ease of maintenance, we actually did a video where we took the gun down and cleaned it. You can find a link to that. Super easy to do. It does have internal safeties. It has a trigger safety and a striker block, and it's also drop safety included. The magazines can be had, extra magazines, for $30 to $40. Excellent warranty, excellent lifetime limited warranty, and excellent customer service from Springfield. It's safe to dry fire, and so it's really a nice gun. However, on our top 5, it would be my 5th choice, which is why it's not here. So we're going to do this anyhow. Poof! It's gone. So moving on to number 4, and this is honestly a super tough choice. So I'm torn at this point because I do like all these guns. And I think for your list, it's going to be different than my list. But if I had to remove one of the guns that's sitting in front of me, it would be the FN. However, let's talk about this FN before we take it off the list. It has a MSRP of $659 for this, and this is the optic ready version. The regular version of this gun comes in at $599, and you can actually find this, the MRD version, which is optic ready with the manual safety, right? It comes with and without it, for $500 online. It has a capacity of 10 or 11+1 or 15, and the magazine that's in it right now is the 10+1. It has a barrel length of 3.3 inches, an overall length of 6.2 inches, right? So it's just a hair longer than the 365. pretty darn close to the Smith and pretty darn close to the Taurus. Its overall width is 1 inch. The height, again, depending on what magazine you have in, is 4.27 inches or 5 inches. The weight on it is 18.4 ounces, and as you can see, it definitely has an ambidextrous thumb safety. Now, the pros of this gun are it has an excellent trigger. It is a super soft recoil, and you can get it optics ready. It has an excellent build. The grip quality is great, and honestly, you kind of get full-size performance out of this package. The cons, it's one of the more expensive guns on our list, and it really has limited holster support initially, which is why I was super happy when I found this. This is a pocket holster for it. But again, there weren't a whole heck of a lot of options, so had to go with a generic as well. And with the optics cut, this wouldn't work. So because of the lack of holsters available for it right now, that's honestly one of the only reasons I'm taking it off the list at this particular point. And again, let me stress, all these guns are great. If I could have a list with a top 5 where all 5 are tied, maybe I wouldn't have all 5 tied, but there'd be a real serious competition for 3, 4, and 5. So we'll have a 3-way tie for third. There is growing support in the aftermarket for holsters. It too is, very user-friendly to disassemble. It has a trigger, or it has the manual safety. In regard to the passive safeties, it also has a firing pin block. It is drop safe. The magazines are kind of pricey too, so they go from $40 to $45. However, the warranty support is just excellent from FN America, and it is safe to dry fire. However, someone had to be number 4 on our list, and since it's the only flat dark earth gun, we wanted to get it out of there. So, poof! So, number 3 on the list. And again, we could probably have a 3-way tie for number 3. Maybe not. I do love number 3 is the Taurus G3C. Now, I will say this gun shoots probably with a little less recoil than any of the other guns on our list. And it's almost a cheat because it's also one of the bigger guns on our list, right? So it's a hair bigger than the Sig, and it's still even a hair bigger than the Shield Plus. And it's heavier, and it's also wider. But it is just a really beautiful, pleasant gun to shoot. We'll attach a link to the whole review on this gun, but just a pleasure. So this gun, which is also probably the best value, so that would be another reason I would put that in number 3. It's got an MSRP of $340, but you can find this gun with 3 magazines for $200 online or in stores. It comes with a capacity of 12 is what I got, and this is the 12 round magazine. You can also get it in 10, 15, or 17. Now, when we're saying 17, you can get 17 on this and as well, but it really extends the grip, so it's not ideal for carry. On this gun, the barrel length is 3.2 inches. The overall length is 6.3 inches. And like I said, the width is a little bit bigger, so it is 1.2 as opposed to a 1. I don't know if you can tell that when you have them side by side. The height is 5.1 inches. It comes in at 22 ounces, so it's also one of the heavier guns on the list, which is probably one of the reasons it's one of the most pleasant to shoot on our list. And obviously it has a single side safety, so it is not good for lefties, it's only good for righties. The pros for this particular gun are it is just simply a great value. It is super easy to use the manual safety. Like, it's just really nice. The ergonomics are great. It also has a really nice trigger on it. And again, we cleared all these guns, but it has second strike capability, which also means, right? So that's in the single action. That if you have a light strike, you don't have to clear the jam, which is a great reason to have this gun, particularly for a beginner. Now the cons, and we've said it, it's bulkier and it's bigger than any of the other guns on our list right now. And it's got some, the plastic sights, so that can be a little bit, they can feel cheap, and it does not come optics ready. So none of, I believe, the G3 series have optics available at this point. Aftermarket support, it's moderate. There are holsters and sights available, but there are fewer options for this gun than you're going to find, for example, either of these two. The Smith and the Sig both have tons of options. The maintenance, it's a super easy takedown on this gun. It takes down like a Glock, but it shoots, in my opinion, much better than a Glock. It also has some passive safeties. It has a firing pin block and a striker cover plate, and it also has a trigger safety on it in addition to the thumb safety. So you have both on this particular gun. Taurus does offer a limited lifetime warranty, and their service, at least my experience with Taurus, has always been great. So they are a company that I really like, and it's safe to dry fire. And honestly, the restrike capability makes practicing with this gun, if you're lazy, it's a lot easier to do this, right? Then with this gun, you have to do, oops. Every time, right? Not the biggest thing, and if you take the magazine out, you don't actually have to do the slide release every time. However, as they say, there can only be one.
There can be only one!
So the Taurus has to go. Poof. So number 2 on the list, and this would probably change depending on how I feel when I wake up in the morning. That's how close these two guns are, in my opinion. But as I said, with the one bad hand, I've been shooting with one hand, which is honestly probably a more likely scenario in a true self-defense situation, because this hand would be used to, defend yourself or perhaps keep someone at arm's length while you draw and shoot with your other hand. So I think both are great guns. However, the gun that I have trusted my life with for the last 10 years would probably come in second. Now, the P365 is right now, I believe, the most popular 9mm carry gun in the United States. But nonetheless, we're going to have to say goodbye to it for right now, and that means the Smith will wear the crown, at least for right now. Like I said, if I did this video next week, I might switch them out. But the Sig P365 with a manual safety, right? It comes with a MSRP of $549, and honestly, they don't knock much of it out. You have to pay about $500 for these guns. They come with a capacity of 10, 12, or 15, and I believe now you can even get them with more. 10, which is what you see here, is what I carry it with. The barrel length is 3.1. The overall length is 5.8 inches. It has a 1-inch width. The current height with the 10-round magazine is 4.3 inches. With the larger magazine, it goes to 4.7. It weighs 17.8 ounces empty, and it has an ambidextrous safety on it. It's also optics ready. It's an amazing, amazing gun. But what it's really known for is just the smooth trigger, like the Sig trigger is just really nice. Short reset and just a great trigger. I'm very used to the Sig at this particular point, but the Sig has just a great trigger in it. It also has some night sights that just come standard with it. And there are just a ton of aftermarket things that you can do with this gun. And Sig itself, you can swap this out. It's kind of like it's the Lego equivalent of a 9mm, right? That's how many things, whatever you can imagine, you can probably do with this 365.
I don't know, I can imagine quite a bit.
You'll get it.
Some of the downsides, honestly, it's a pricier gun and the magazines are going to be pricey. The only other possible negative I can think about this gun really is it's not the least snappy gun on our list. It's definitely not as snappy as a Hellcat. It's probably not as snappy, and it's probably snappier than the FN, certainly than the Taurus and this. But it's still very manageable. It is a great gun if you are a beginner looking at a Micro 9. You owe it to yourself to at least shoot this at the range and see if you like it. But for right now, we are going to take this away and talk about the very last one left on our list, and that is, poof, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus with a thumb safety. You can find this gun, its manufacturer suggested retail price is $499, but you can get the optics ready version, which is what this is, for $300 to $350 online. It comes with both a 10-round magazine and a 13-round magazine. The barrel length is 3.1 inches. The overall length is 6.1. The width is 1.1 inches, and the height is, with this magazine, 4.6 inches. It comes in at 20.2 ounces, and as you can see, it does have a thumb safety. Now, the thumb safety got it on our list, but I will honestly say not my favorite thumb safety out of all the guns that we have. But it does work. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and your hand has to readjust. But nonetheless, it does have the safety, and it just has excellent ergonomics on this gun. The texturing, the grip are just really nice, and I never really appreciated it, I don't think. So the thing that always kind of prevented me from liking the gun is honestly the lack of front serrations. Because when I racked, I wanted to be able to rack at the front. I obviously can't right now, but like I could in the back. And I don't think that's as big a deal right now. And the other thing is, I think that Smith & Wesson, for the most part, at least in my mind, is kind of the girl next door. So she's pretty, she's reliable, you could marry that girl. But you know what? The girl with the nose piercing might be a lot more fun to take out. So I think that's probably why I was a little reticent to like Smith as much. The trigger on this, it's a flat trigger with a trigger safety, and it's just, I mean, a lovely, lovely trigger. Out of all the guns on our list, probably, at least for me, my favorite trigger, and it may be different for you. So that's why you should definitely try it. Some people think the trigger is gritty. I don't. It's a little bit wider than the other micro compacts, but like literally it's 0.1 inches wider. So I don't think that will matter. And there are just a ton of aftermarket support for this. You can get different holsters, different sights, optics, a wide variety of everything. The takedown is really easy on this particular gun. It's very beginner friendly as far as maintenance. It too, as I said, it has a trigger safety, a firing pin block, and it is drop safe. Spare magazines will probably run you around $30 or $40. Excellent lifetime service policy from Smith & Wesson. I will say this about my girl next door. They offer great customer service. Whenever I've had any issues with any of my Smiths, they get right on top of it. And you can safe to dry fire this particular gun. So those are my top 5 Micro 9s. I'm going to put a real quick shout out and honorable mention to the Ruger Max 9. If none of the 5 on our list are something that you like, you should probably at least take a look at that. So those are my top 5 plus 1. And now I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So these are my top 5 choices with an honorable mention to the Ruger Max 9. Now, you'll notice that there were no 1911 style Micro 9s on my list. And again, this kind of goes back to a comfort level with beginners. So when you carry a 1911 style gun, unless you don't want to carry one in the chamber, which is, you can argue it either way, but for the most part, you probably want to carry with one in the chamber. So you'd be carrying a 1911 cocked and locked, as they say, and for a lot of beginner shooters, that's just not comfortable. Also, the triggers on 1911 style guns are very sensitive, which is one of the reasons you like 1911 guns, but also not necessarily the best starter gun for a beginner unless you're a soldier in World War II, in which case you're going to love that gun.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
But also, don't take my word for this. Just because I said I like the Smith and, it's just a hair better than the P365. In fact, you probably shouldn't take any YouTube reviewer's word for it. You really want to go to a gun range, and all the guns on our list are available. Rent them and test them, right? What we'll be doing as a follow-up, now that we kind of have pointed in a direction of what gun you might want to carry, I'm going to do a beginner's guide to conceal carry, or as I will call it, what I wish someone told me before I bought thousands of dollars worth of gun stuff I don't like and will never use again. So thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe. Let me know your feedback. If you like any of the guns, if you think there are guns that were not on the list that should have been on the list, please put that in the comments below. Tell me a little bit why, and who knows, maybe we'll do a review of that gun, or maybe next year we will amend our top 5 list. Until then, see you next time on a Doug Gun Guy channel.